The moment I saw the crisp, white notice taped to my front door, a shiver of unease rippled through me. It wasn't just the usual HOA memo about lawn maintenance or parking rules. This was something different, something heavy-er. I ripped it off the door, the adhesive tugging at the paint, and scanned the text. My stomach dropped. The monthly HOA fee wasn't just creeping up. It had skyrocketed nearly triple what I'd been paying for the past 3 years. There was no preamble, no justification, just stark black ink declaring the new amount and a single, chilling line at the bottom. This decision is final. Non-compliance will result in immediate penalties. My grip tightened on the paper, crumpling the edges. I knew who was behind this. Margaret Hensley, the HOA's self-crowned dictator, had struck again. Margaret was a force of nature in our quiet suburban enclave of Willow Creek, a woman in her late 50s with a penchant for garish leopard print scarves and a voice that could shatter glass. She'd been running the HOA like her personal fiefdom for as long as anyone could remember, wielding her authority with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Most of the neighbors grumbled about her under their breath, but never dared to confront her. I'd always kept my head down too, paying my dues and avoiding her radar. But this was a declaration of war. I stepped back inside, letting the door slam shut behind me, and tossed the notice onto the kitchen counter. My husband, Lucas, looked up from his coffee, his brow furrowing as he caught the storm brewing in my expression. "What's that?" he asked, nodding toward the paper. "Margaret's latest power trip," I said, sliding it toward him. "She's tripled the HOA fees. No warning, no vote, nothing. Just a big pay up or else." Lucas skimmed the notice, his jaw tightening. "Tripled? That's insane. They can't do that without a vote in the bylaws. She's got to know this is illegal." "Exactly," I said, grabbing my laptop from the counter. "Which is why I'm not letting this slide." I dropped into a chair across from him, already pulling up the HOA's online portal. "She doesn't know who she's messing with this time." Lucas raised an eyebrow, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "You're going after her, aren't you, Elena?" I didn't answer right away, my fingers flying across the keyboard. He knew me too well. I wasn't just Elena Harper, disgruntled homeowner. I was Elena Harper, senior auditor for the U.S. Treasury Department, with a knack for sniffing out financial rot. I'd spent the last decade dismantling embezzlement schemes and tax fraud rings. If Margaret thought she could bully me into compliance, she was about to learn a hard lesson. "Oh, I'm not just going after her," I said finally, my voice low and steady. "I'm going to dismantle her little empire, brick by brick." That night, I dove into the HOA's financial records. Thanks to my job, I had access to databases and contacts most people didn't, tools I could wield discreetly to peel back the layers of Margaret's operation. The HOA's public filings were a mess, but I cross-referenced them with bank records I'd pulled through a favor from an old colleague. What I found wasn't just sloppy bookkeeping, it was a neon sign screaming fraud. Hundreds of thousands of dollars had vanished over the past 2 years. There were payments to consultants with no listed SARE VYCS, invoices for landscaping projects that never happened, and a suspicious pattern of transfers to a shell company called Green VY EW Solutions. The clincher? A Dulaw $50,000 wire transfer straight to Margaret Hensley's personal account, time-stamped just 3 months ago. She wasn't just skimming. She was draining the HOA dry and banking on no one noticing. I leaned back in my chair, rubbing my temples as the numbers danced in my head. Lucas wandered in, peering over my shoulder. "Find anything good?" "Good," I snorted. "Try catastrophic. She's been running a full-on racket. Fake companies, ghost expenses, direct deposits to herself. She's not even trying to hide it." He whistled low. "That's ballsy. What's your next move?" I grinned, a spark of adrenaline lighting me up. "First, I'm going to pay her a VY sit. Let her sweat a little. Then, I'm taking this to the neighborhood and the feds." The next morning, I marched up to Margaret's oversized colonial at the end of the cul-de-sac. Her lawn was pristine, her flower beds a riot of color, ironic, considering she'd claimed rising maintenance costs as the excuse for the fee hike. I knocked sharply, and after a moment, the door swung open. There she stood, all 5'4" of her, wrapped in a leopard print shawl and glaring at me like I'd tracked mud onto her porch. "Elena," she said, her voice dripping with fake warmth. "What a surprise. To what do I owe the pleasure?" "Cut the act, Margaret," I said, keeping my tone even. "I've got questions about the fee increase. Tripling it with no vote? That's bold, even for you." Her smile tightened, a predator sizing up prey. "It's necessary. Inflation, repairs, you know how it is." The board approved it. "Funny," I said, tilting my head, because I checked the financials and I didn't see any repairs. What I did see with a lot of money moving where it shouldn't like into your bank account. Her face flickered just for a second before she recovered. "You've got no business poking into private records," she snapped. "That's an invasion of privacy. As a homeowner, I got every right," I shot back. "And as a federal auditor, I've got even more. So let's try this again. We's the HOA paying you directly?" Margaret blinked, her composure cracking. "You're..." "What?" I pulled my badge from my pocket and flashed it, letting the weight of it sink in. "Treasury Department. I investigate financial crimes for a levying. And you, Margaret, just became my new project." Her hand twitched, nails digging into her shawl. "This is ridiculous," she sputtered. "I've done nothing wrong. The HOA's books are clean." "Clean?" I laughed, stepping closer. "I've seen cleaner books in a Ponzi scheme. 50 grand to your personal account? Fake vendors? You're not just sloppy greedy." She took a step back, her eyes darting toward the street. "You're twisting things. Tools sue you for slander." "Go ahead," I said, shrugging. "Truth's a hell of a defense. But here's a tip. Next time you try to bribe me like you're clearly thinking about, didn't do it in front of a Fed." Her mouth opened, then snapped shut. Without another word, she retreated inside and slammed the door. I smirked, turning back toward home. Round one me. Lucas was waiting on the porch when I got back, arms crossed and grinning. "How'd it go?" "She's rattled," I said, dropping onto the steps beside him. Tried to bluff her way out, then clammed up when I showed the badge. "She's guilty as sin." He chuckled. "You're enjoying this too much." "Maybe," I admitted, "but she's been terrorizing this neighborhood for years." Time someone fought back. Over the next few days, I widened my net. I talked to neighbors quietly, at first gauging who'd suspected Margaret's schemes. Turns out, I wasn't alone. The Wilsons, an older couple 2 streets over, had been hit with a Dulac $2,000 emergency repair fee for a roof leak that never got fixed. A single mom, Tara Nguyen, showed me a stack of violation notices for her kids' toys and the yard fines she'd paid to avoid time threats. The more I dug, the uglier it got. Margaret wasn't just stealing, she was extorting. I compiled everything: bank records, fake invoices, neighbor testimonies into a dossier thick enough to choke a lawyer. But I didn't stop there. I wanted Margaret to face the music publicly. The next HOA meeting was in 4 days, and I planned to turn it into her reckoning. The community center buzzed with tension the night of the meeting. I arrived early, setting up a projector in the corner while Lucas watched, sipping a soda and smirking. "Better," I replied. "Prosecutors don't get to enjoy the look on the defendant's face this much." Neighbors trickled in, some curious, some irritated, a few already whispering about the fee hike. Margaret swept in last, her usual aura of command intact, clutching a clipboard like a shield. She took her seat at the front, banging a gavel to start the meeting. "Order," she barked. "Let's get this over with." I stood before she could launch into her agenda. "Actually, I've got something to share first." Her eyes narrowed. "This isn't your time, Elena. Submit it in writing." "Nah," I said, clicking on the projector. A bank statement flared to life on the screen. Dula 50,000 transfer to Margaret's account. The room went dead silent. For 2 years, our fees have gone up, our fines have piled up, and nothing's gotten fixed. Want to know why? Because Margaret's been treating the HOA like her personal ATM. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Margaret shot to her feet, face crimson. "This is outrageous. You've got no right." "I've got every right," I cut in, flipping to the next slide. A list of payments to Green VYEW Solutions, a company that didn't exist. Fake vendors, ghost projects, direct deposits to you. It's all here, and I've got the receipts. The room erupted. Tara stood, fists clenched. She find me do la 500 for a bike in my driveway. Where'd that money go? The Wilsons chimed in, their voices trembling with anger. We paid for repairs that never happened. Margaret flailed, her voice shrill. This is slander. I'll have you all sued. I dropped a folder on the table. Sue away. I've already sent this to the state HOA board and the FBI's fraud DVY shown. Felony charges are coming, Margaret. You're done. She froze, the color draining from her face. The crowd surged, shouting for a vote to oust her. It took 8 minutes unanimous. Margaret stormed out, her heels clicking a frantic retreat. Lucas leaned in as she vanished. You buried her. Justice, I said, watching the neighbors rally, feels damn good. The fallout was swift. The state board launched an investigation, and the FBI took my EVY Denke to build a case. Margaret's vacation condo, a gaudy beachfront monstrosity she'd bought with HOA funds, was seized within weeks. The proceeds funneled back to the association. Greg Patel, a no-nonsense ex-cop, and Tara stepped up to lead a new board, vowing transparency. The neighborhood exhaled, finally free of Margaret's chokehold. But she didn't go quietly. A month later, I found a lawsuit on my doorstep, Margaret claiming defamation and harassment. Lucas laughed when he saw it. She's desperate. She's delusional, I corrected, calling a lawyer friend to shred it. The case was tossed in days, the judge calling it frivolous nonsense. Margaret's last gasp failed spectacularly. One night, as Lucas and I sat on the porch, a car idled down the street, engine rumbling, lights off. I tensed, recognizing the silhouette behind the wheel. Margaret. She rolled down her window, eyes blazing. You think you've won? I know I have, I said, unflinching. You're finished. She gripped the wheel, knuckles white. I made this place better. You ruined it. You made yourself rich, I shot back. Now drive away before I call the cops. She sped off, tires squealing, and that was the last we saw of her. Word came later she'd taken a plea deal, admitting to fraud to avoid a trial. Prison loomed, and Willow Creek moved on. Greg and Tara rebuilt the HOA from the ground up, fair fees, real projects, open books. Neighbors pitched in, trust blooming where fear once festered. One evening, Greg handed me a folder of thank you notes from the community. You saved us, he said. I shook my head. You saved yourselves. I just lit the match. As Lucas and I watched the sunset, the street alive with laughter and life, he nudged me. Proud of yourself? I smiled. Yeah, justice always is. Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.